We know what they did or didn't do on July the 1st. We know Nicholas Waugh is a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs in the sign and trade for Mitch Marner. We know that Mateus Michelli comes over from the Mammoth, #TusksUp, coming over from Utah in exchange for a third-round pick. But, I mean, it's pretty clear. You hear Tree Living yesterday doing his media. You hear Tree Living on this radio show. They are very much in the market for another top 6 forward. They need to be, because that's the clear missing ingredient when it comes to what you're looking at this roster. They have money to spend. The question is, this is the million-dollar question that everybody around the NHL is trying to figure out, who is the player they're trying to pursue, and will they be able to get it done with questionable collection of assets at their disposal? And people will point to Easton Cowan. Don't think the Leafs will be overly keen on trading really their only pro-ready prospect. In a perfect world, you keep him, but you might have to do something.
Yeah.
You look at the back end. Could you trade a Brandon Carlo? You could. Could you package one of your draft picks, which it's almost non-existent? In 2026, they have a 3rd and a 5th. In 2027, they have a 2nd and a 4th. They don't have any draft picks.
No, they have no first-rounders in the foreseeable future.
So it's for the Leafs. I mean, they wanted Brad Marchand. That's pretty obvious.
Yes.
They did not get him.
Mr. DNA.
Mr. DNA. I think it would have been the perfect fit, and say what you will about what that contract would have looked like and does look like for the Panthers. A 6-year deal for a 37-year-old. Good luck, Florida, in 2030, but they'll worry about that once they have had their 5th straight Stanley Cup. So
right.
I think they'll be just okay. But for the Leafs, they're going to be looking at the trade market. That's become blatantly clear. The name Nazem Kadri has emerged recently. I don't know if it has to do with his Navigator Cup victory with the O-Dog against Duthie and Brendan Gallagher yesterday.
Well, that's a big part of it.
That's actually a spoiler. I apologize if you haven't seen it on TSN's YouTube channel. Very good content.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it. Naz, good golfer. Good golfer. And he put that on full display, and a hell of a hockey player as well. I guess the question is, if Calgary was willing to trade Kadri to the Leafs, and we know Tree Living loves Kadri, right? We know they tried to trade for him years ago.
Yep.
He nixed the deal to Calgary, and we know he signed Kadri to the current deal he's on. So Brad Tree Living, an affinity for Nazem Kadri. How do you make that deal happen?
You make it happen any way possible, because they need Nazem Kadri or someone like him. And to your point, obviously the plan was maybe Sam Bennett. Well, no, that didn't happen. Maybe Brad Marchand. No, that didn't happen. But in terms of guys that can make a difference, be the ingredient they don't have on this team, the ingredient they've missed since Nazem Kadri walked out the building. Not only 35 goals last year from Nazem Kadri at age 34, best goal-scoring season of his career, but the unpredictability, the combustibility, the living on the edge that sometimes can go on the wrong side of the edge, as we all know, in terms of the history of playoff suspensions. But the factor that makes the other team play with a head on the swivel. And they don't have anybody on this team like that, or they don't have enough guys on this team like that. Naz is the guy that had it, and they let him get away. And for Brad Tree Living, who, let Sam Bennett get away from Calgary before Sam Bennett became Sam Bennett. For Brad Tree Living, who had to trade Matthew Tkachuk out of Calgary, another DNA guy, wouldn't it be something if he could bring a guy over that every Leaf fan would love to have playing in the blue and white this summer?
Yeah, so he's got another 4 years remaining on his contract, an AAV of $7 million, which is pretty reasonable with this rising salary cap. And Kadri at age 36, 37. By the way, isn't it crazy that Nazem Kadri is, 34 years old? Where has the time gone? I think he and I are around the same age. I was at Western when he was playing for the London Knights, and now, I don't know. Time does fly by. But yeah, he's he's on like the 13th hole of his NHL career is Nazem Kadri when it comes to age. But it's incredible that a guy like Kadri is as sought after. Well, it's not really incredible. It makes all the sense in the world, considering I think the contract is reasonable to some extent. Although, father time does exist. Who knows what it looks like in the next couple of years? But the Leafs have a window to win now.
The clock's ticking, man.
It
you
most
heard
certainly
Keith
is.
Pelly, right? You heard Keith
did.
Pelly that winning rounds is not enough. We have to be on what was the phrasing? We have to be on a pathway to a Stanley Cup. Okay, is the CEO's vision for this team.
Yeah.
So this is not about waiting on 20-year-old Easton Cowan to become the player you hope he can become. We're past that, man. They had two prospects, Fraser Minton and Easton Cowan. They traded one last year. I'd have no problem with them trading one this year. Look, it could all end in a big big thud if this group does not produce what they want it to produce, either this playoff run or maybe the next one. It could all go to what, but you have no other option but to double and triple and quadruple down on what you have. If you're not going to make a more creative move and really change the core in a more fundamental way, which I think a lot of people would suggest is not a bad idea and should be explored. But if you're not going to do that, let's say too many no move clauses, too many guys that convinced they got to leave town, too complicated, can't get it done. Trading for Kadri is about as good as you can think of right now.
And he does have a no-move clause, and the belief is he'd be willing to waive it to come back to Toronto. And we know he spends a lot of time here in the summer, so we'll have to wait and see.